We're going to do something a little bit different today. Normally, this channel tends to focus on education about options trading, but today I want to share my options journey with you. This is because so many people get on the phone with me and want to know, how did I start this? What's it been like? How did I get here? That kind of thing. So I want to make a video about that. A lot of you are on this journey right now and might be experiencing many of the same things. So I think it might be an interesting listen for you as well. We're kind of like all in this together as retail options traders. So hopefully this will be interesting and kind of like give you a sense of the timeline as well. I've done all this in 8 years. Okay. So 8 years is how long it took me to start from knowing absolutely nothing to kind of getting where I am today. Okay. So, that's just to highlight what we're going to go over. I'm going to tell you in this video about how I got interested in options trading, how I started, how I grew, how I became work optional, and just the fact that the goals keep growing. Like I thought I would be happy at a certain point and be able to be like, okay, I'm good. Now I've got everything that I want from this and I'm just gonna like chill and relax. And it actually doesn't work that way. You end up just wanting more and more and more because that's what human beings are like, I'm finding. Okay, so how did I get interested in options trading? One of the things I think is true of most people that I meet who are either turned on by options or off by it is that they have certain attributes. And I think they're often self-starters and have an entrepreneurial mindset. Okay. So that's one of the attributes. There can be others too, for sure. But that was something that I was already like a field that was sown and for the seeds to be planted there because I already have those sorts of qualities. Something that might surprise a lot of people is that I'm a creative. I am a photographer. That's what I went to college for. I'm really an artist at heart and sort of a free spirit in a lot of ways, but I also have this weird dichotomy where I am very fascinated by business and I've owned a company for years in the arts. And so that is not at all to anything to do with options, but I did have like a really good head for business as well as being a creative. Okay, I sort of feel like I'm a little bit bipolar in that way. I'm married. I've been married for about 25 years almost, and I have two sons. One is going to college in like a week. Oh my gosh. And the other one is 16. Okay. I'm married to a guy that I met overseas on foreign exchange in England many years ago when I was in university studying photography. He is a photographer and a director for TV commercials and like commercial advertising. And through going overseas when I was in college and meeting him and his family that is also lives in England and France, I really fell in love with travel. And my husband was my boyfriend at the time was kind enough to move over after we graduated from college to work like on a J1 visa at some crappy job to get to see if we were compatible enough to get married. When I was 23, I got married when I was 23 to him. Yeah, but he and just my passions for visual arts and stuff gave me a serious case of wanderlust and dreamy goals. Okay, so this is kind of what I've been dealing with is just my personality type. Okay. I worked really, really hard in my 20s. I hardly ever worked for anyone else. I started being self-employed when I was 23 or 24 and opened a company with my husband where we worked in the advertising business together. And it was really intense. It's a very intense job to work in advertising. It's highly competitive. So when I kind of was moving along through my 30s and 40s. I'm like, you know what? I can't do this forever. This job is insane. Like the demands of it were so competitive. And I am a competitive person, but I was just like, I want to do something else in my 50s. I kind of want to like be doing some sort of consulting at that time and work part-time. because I had fallen in love so much with Europe and so much with like sort of my husband's family and that way of life that we decided we would really like to, when our kids are in college, live in Europe part time. So go back to where he came from since he has lived here with me in the US for like 25 years now, actually like 27. And like kind of go back to his roots a little bit and repay the favor that he gave me of living here for so long. So I knew I wanted to work in consulting or something part-time in my 50s because I do love to work, but I also knew I wanted to um, travel a ton and not have to work that hard. Literally, that's what I wanted. So I kind of was looking at like, I wanted a semi-retirement, but I didn't know how I was going to get there. I just knew that I wanted it. And I thought that I would get there through doing some sort of like consulting for artists, since that's what my business was based on. That's one of the things that my husband and I's business was based on. He was an artist. I represented him to get advertising jobs, and I represented a lot of other artists too. And it was a great career. It really was. And it was really fun. But a ton of stress as well. Okay. So then Brian told me about options. So who's Brian? Brian is another artist that I represent, and he's a great guy. And I've represented him for something like, he's my work husband. He's like my second husband. But a great guy. And one day he just pulled me aside on the phone, like called me out of the blue, like my like he's like a fairy godmother, a good luck charm or something. And he said, "Hey, I am doing this thing called options trading, and I think that you would love it because I'm over here like literally printing cash off of the covered call." And I'm like, "What? You got my ear." Like, "What?" And he's like, "Yeah, and I think you might have more money than me, so I think that you might be able to make more than me with this. And I think that you would kind of love it with your head for business." So I was like, okay, tell me more. So he told me, just search through YouTube videos and find out about it. And holy smokes, I realized that's really hard to find somebody that I wanted to listen to to teach me this, and not talk in sort of like stock jargon that I didn't understand yet because I was completely new to this. That's actually kind of, guys, why I designed a course, was because I wanted you guys to get information that was easy to understand, because I couldn't find it when I was looking for it. So I kind of spent the weekend like going through the internet trying to figure this out. I confirmed with him on a Monday morning, do I have this right? Is this how this works? Because when I was researching the videos about the covered call, I was like, this is way too good to be true. I can't even believe that this exists. This exists, that you could just like sell somebody the right to buy your shares and get paid money. And I was like, at the time, like an extra $100-$200 a month was like, it was gonna like help me out because I was paying for daycare and stuff like that at that time. Or babysitters at least. So I was like, this is great. I'm gonna check this out. So the first covered call I did, I made about $50. I feel like it was like a 1 month option. Don't quote me on that, but it was like a 1 month covered call or something on Walgreens. I know it was the Walgreens stock. And I made $50 just like that. And I thought, oh my God, this is way too good to be true. Because I've only got like, I don't know, like 3K in the market right now. And I have more than 3K. So this could like be scalable. I could scale this up. So it worked just like the internet said it would. So I was like, wow, Brian, thanks for telling me about this. So I was doing this a little while, and I had like maybe 10K that I was playing with, and I had more money with my husband. We had, as a couple, more money, and we were sitting in cash, which I realized, oh my God, that's so stupid now. We had other, like, we had retirement money invested in the market, but like for ourselves, we were so self-employed, and we were in the self-employment mindset of like, when there was a pullback, we really needed cash. And when I say pullback, I mean a pullback in our business, not in the market overall. But when there was a pullback in our business, we really just needed access to cash. So we were just so cash mindset. Okay. So I knew we had a lot more cash on the side. And I was trying to convince my husband to sort of like agree with me that we should put more into the market. But like, I was new to this, and he wasn't entirely sure what the hell I was talking about, what the cover call was. I was explaining it to him, but he's like, I don't know what you mean. And so I really, really wanted more money, but I had to sort of convince him how. And then guess what happens, guys? Just in typical guy fashion. I'm not meaning to talk like all men are like this, but they are. He wants a new car. So he wants a new car and he wants this BMW X5. And I'm like, that is way too expensive. We are not getting that car. No way, you're not having that car. Like we have to save for college first. Like you have to go in a little bit more sensible with your car right now, buddy. And then I said, you know what? If you give me the 80K that we have in cash and savings right now, if you give me 50 of it, I can make enough money options trading to pay for that BMW X5. Because the payments were, guys, right here, $1,070 a month after we made a down payment. And I was like, I can make that in a month with the covered calls. So if you give me that cash, then it's no skin off my back to pay for the car, our backs rather. And we can see if this options trading thing really works for reals. And he was like, okay, fine. So it was a car that talked him into giving me more money. Okay, so I started paying the car payment. There was no problem at all. Just boom, doing it with 50K account. Okay, so he's like, this is really insane. This is really great. Like after a few more months. Okay, so my account then at this point in time, we're like really like, okay, this is working. We can put more and more cash into this. And like we were figuring out more ways we could get cash and adding to the account. And pretty soon, before you know it, I am starting to make 5K a month, and I'm taking care of our mortgage and the car payment. And we're having some cash left over. And we're like, this is really rad. Okay. You guys will probably relate to this if you are an options trader right now and you've been consistent and you've made some good choices trading. So what ends up happening is that you go from making sort of like 1K to 1.5, and then 1K to 1.5, and the 1.5 becomes 1.5 to 2, another thing like that. So when I started making 5K a month, then the 5K just started, the compounding started working, and it would become 8K some months. It'd be like 5K, 5K, 8K, 5K, 5K, 8K, 5K, 5K, 8K. And then it would start being 6K, 9K, 6K, 9K, that sort of thing. That's what ends up happening. So I start reaching 8K consistently a month. And at this point in time, I am spending some time alone fantasizing literally as this being my primary job. And I kind of don't want to admit to myself or anybody else that this is happening because I'm such a proud business owner. And I have a lot of identity tied up in the old job that I used to do. But I am sort of thinking about like, oh my gosh, like I could taste financial freedom, because I was like, this is gonna compound pretty quickly. And I started figuring out, based on my math, that I needed a $1.5 million account to make 30K a month. And I thought, if I can make 30K a month, which was sort of like what my payroll was paying me on my company and my husband, that I could be work optional, because I wouldn't need that company anymore to pay me, because the company would pay, the trading would pay me. And I thought, oh God, but how do I get $1.5 million? That was the problem. And I knew that it was going to take an awful lot of work to get there, like in my 9 to 5, in my business. And that like, I would also have to hope that my business wasn't going to go through some downturn that was not due to anything I was doing. It's just that our business went through cycles. It just did. It always did. And when we got hit with a downward cycle, it would sort of like blow away some of the savings we had, which was like a real bummer, but it was a reality of the business that we were in. I just knew that from running it for 20 years. Okay, so I started to get impatient with doing the covered call alone, because I realized that this $1.5 million account size was going to take me so long to build. And I knew that other options traders were making more money doing other kinds of trades. I also knew that some trades were potentially safer and other trades were just insanely risky. And I didn't know really the difference between the two. I didn't really have an education about it yet. I only really knew the covered call and the rollout. I started to learn about leaps. I knew those were interesting. So what I did was I enrolled in a lot of classes and courses, free and paid, and hired mentors and to teach me this. I was like, I'm not going to be patient with this $1.5 million. I'm going to see if I can learn more options trade to do with the money that I have to compound it faster. Somewhere around this time period, I also started working with a life coach that my friend introduced me to, my friend Courtney. And he was just constantly, I was telling him about like how I was doing this stock trading thing, and I was absolutely transfixed by it. And I wanted to do this more and more. And like I was falling in love with it and all this other kind of stuff. And we were also working on just other things in my life. But he started telling me that we don't actually have to work as human beings to create abundance. Um, and I was like, what? That doesn't like, what? Like, and he's like, yeah, think about it. How many women do you know that are just married to rich guys that never have to work? I'm like, oh, that is a good point. Okay. And he used other examples too. And I was like, the more I thought about it, the more that I knew that it was true. So I wholeheartedly adopted that mindset and changed my mindset that, hey, guess what? I don't think my money has to be tied to how many hours I work anymore. That's what I decided because I agreed with him, and it turns out it's true. Okay. So the money kept compounding, and I developed a system through doing these classes and courses with other mentors and other options teachers. At this point in time, my work was, at this point in my history, my work, again, you guys know this, it was largely tied to my husband. We own a company together, and we are like soulmates. So whatever we do together. So I'm like trying to teach him options, but he's not really interested at this point in time. He's just like, you got it. You're fine. But I know I need more money to kind of like grow this account. And the universe, you guys, I believe in the universe. I believe that when you have some sort of like soul's desire and you believe it's going to happen to you, that the universe will deliver it. I don't care if that's kooky, because it freaking works for me and I swear by it. Okay. And if you don't believe that, probably you can turn off this channel, because I don't think this system is going to work for you, because you're never going to believe in it. Okay. But if you do, stay tuned, because there's more of it where this came from. Okay. So the universe answered me by bringing this amazing client to me, and I made a killing off of this client in 2 years at my company. And I was just able to pay myself these bonuses, and I was on my way to just growing that account balance that I needed and get that account size that I needed to like grow faster, paired with the new trades that I was learning. Okay, so the account started growing really fast at this point in time. And I believe that's because I had done all of this work cultivating this abundance mindset that I was working on with my coach. Okay. So my monthly amounts were now around like 15 to 20K. And I was just like, this is killer. This is killer. This is really, really working. After those 2 years, my big client finished business with our company. It was sad, but it was done. But I had gotten really used to the cash flow. Okay. Like I had made all these upgrades in my life. I was like, when money comes that easy, you sort of get like really stuck in the mindset of like, it could be this easy. It could really be this easy. So I just started to realize though, at that point in time, that my company was actually never going to be able to provide the amount of cash that I needed to make. I had to go full on with options, because managing that client was like a lot of work. And the only way that I could increase my money at my 9 to 5 was to put more risk on the table by hiring more people that were as good at their job as me, which honestly, like, I don't know that anybody's ever really going to care about your business as much as you do. And I do think that you'd have to have the heart to push into it. And I was just like, nobody's really going to give it what I give it. And so that's what we need to grow it. And I just don't see that happening. There's just realities that I had to deal with and confront. And so I'm like, I just don't think that I can make the kind of money I need to make or want to make for my life out of my company. That was like a weird realization, but I think it's possible, but I know it's possible with options. So I'm at this like crossroads at this point. Okay. So anyway, I'm deciding I'm going to full on with options, but I'm also at this point deciding, you know what, this is the perfect time. And I'm working with my coach, my life coach. I know this whole life coach thing, it sounds so corny, but oh my God, it's just an invaluable experience. And I still have him today. But I decided I needed to start trading options at this point when I'm learning the way that I mean to continue. And what do I mean by that? When I went out to learn these options, I knew that I wanted to get very specific things from options trading. I decided I was going to design my life to live how I wanted to live in my 50s, how I told you guys about that, how I wanted to have financial freedom so I could go live in Europe and like buy a second home there, have time freedom so that when I'm living in Europe, I'm not glued to my computer working with people or the market all day. I can go out and do like a walk around Paris and sit in a cafe and love life that way. Have time freedom, get great sleep. Sleep is super important to me. If anyone knows me personally, they know I freaking love to sleep and I do not want to be stressed. I'd already been stressed in my company. I don't want to be stressed anymore. And I wanted something that would interest me and that I was passionate about forever. And I'm passionate about this. So it hit everything for me. So I developed this system. And what do I mean that I developed a system? Well, I studied all sorts of options trades during this time period where I was learning from these mentors and these coaches and these courses and stuff. And I knew that I just didn't want to take a trade if it was too risky, if it would keep me up all night worrying, or if it took a lot of screen time. I just didn't do it, plain and simple. What I decided to do was I only took the plain and simple trades that were very profitable, because all those other trades just didn't work for the life that I was designing for myself. So right now we're still talking about these trades that I didn't do, okay? So I didn't do trades that I knew how to do because I wanted to prove to myself how large of an account size I would need with some like real data behind that to live this lifestyle that I wanted, okay? So these values were of the utmost importance to me. And so I was like, I need to start how I mean to continue. Does that make sense? Okay. So like if I was going to sit there in front of a computer for 5 hours a day and do these trades that potentially like be a day trader or something like that, but then, you know, have to relearn something later when I want to take on this other lifestyle, it didn't make any sense. So I have really no regrets about doing this. It was just an incredible journey. It really was. So it took a lot of patience and hours to learn what I wanted to know. And especially I spent a lot of hours of time just learning stuff just to throw it away, just to be like, that's nice, but I'm not going to use it. So weeding through like what was going to work for me and what wasn't, weeding out the junk, it was so worth it. And I have to say, I really did love the process. I loved even learning about stuff that I didn't use. just being able to go like, hey, does this cut the system for what I want to have for my life? No, throw it away. Perfect. I'm closer to where I need to be. That's how I looked at it. Okay. So this is the system that I teach now. So it gives me time freedom. I trade about an hour a day, like a $1.2 million account value now in like August of 2025. I don't really do chart reading. Like I look at a simple 5-year, 1 year and 3 month chart. If I'm betting a stock or I'm just reevaluating whether I still want to be trading it, simple and easy, doesn't take any time. I'm not glued to a computer. It can be done for anywhere in the world. So you guys, travel is so wonderful for my spirit. And so the fact that I can do this options trading thing for my primary income from anywhere in the world, it's like, I feel like I've won the lottery on career choices right now. Like I really do. It's also highly profitable. The money is absolutely fantastic. And like coming from where I have come from, you guys all have a job, right? Like, you know, there are headaches with your job. I don't really have headaches with my job. If you're a manager for your job or you own your own company, don't you know that you have to manage employees and like people not showing up or not doing what they're supposed to do? And like, you have to deal with all these government regulations and all this kind of stuff. Like, I don't have to deal with that anymore. It's so liberating. And then I get great sleep. So like this doesn't really keep me up at night worrying. Market pullbacks, yeah, they suck. Okay. I'm not going to lie, but I don't really worry about them because I do believe in American innovation and the ability of the market to rise over time. So that's what doesn't keep me worried about this. So, you know, now I'm completely in love. I'm in love with options trading. It's really the answer to everything. And let's go back to the timeline on my journey. So like I'm adding in these new trades in, I'm making mistakes, I'm making big wins, and I'm getting better and better. I'm easily getting to 25 to 35K a month, and it seems that I'm a genius, right? And we're in a bull market and it's all going swimmingly. But in the back of my head, right, I'm going like, how will this work in a bear market though? How will it work? Like, I know hypothetically how to trade. Like I know options theory how to trade in a bear market, but what is that actually like? Okay. So at a certain point in time, you guys, hey, bear market strikes in 2022, doesn't it? Doesn't it? It hits us. It's like boom. And guess what? It's the best thing that ever happened to me. That's how my mindset is. That's the mindset I've cultivated right now. Okay. So why is it the best thing that happened to me? Well, it's the proof of concept that I need to show me that this was going to work for life. And did I know it at the time? No. No, I did not know that at the time that was going to prove to me that this was going to work. I was like freaking out. I was going, this sucks. This sucks so bad. Okay? During the bear market, I'm still here learning, feet to the fire. And by the way, I still am learning. I will never stop learning, and neither will you if you're going to do this. And I've already learned how to trade options in a bear market in theory, okay, from all these courses I've taken. But I'm now getting real life experience with collateral and margin and seeing how that fluctuates during this time period. And it's stressful. Trading in a bear market isn't easy in theory, but it's challenging in reality because I had emotions about it. So, I start to really wonder and question myself as my account values are going down. Is this really going to work as a lifestyle? Is it really going to work? I don't know. I'm going through this whole year just going oh my God. Okay. But at the end of this cycle, I have some pretty compelling evidence that it will work. Because at the end of the cycle, since I've always tracking how much money I make every week and I track my trades, I figure out that at the end of that year, I have made 30% less than the previous year. And I figure, you know what? That's not too bad. I think I can live with that. Those results inform my next move. So during the bear market, I figure I can still make premium. Okay. And it's about 30% less than a bullish year. So what do I need to do to make this work? Well, at this point in time, I still have my normal job is going great. I'm still making my income. And I'm you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to take all my premium income and I'm going to buy shares on these stocks when they are down. And when they come back, I'm going to come roaring back. And that's exactly what happened. Okay. The next thing I decide is that I'm mulling this over and going okay, I know I make 30% less in a bear market, and bear markets usually last 3 months to a year, something like that. So I decide what I've got to do is my next move is I need to have an account size that works when I'm making 30% or less, and that 30% making less doesn't matter to me. So I now need an account size, I decide, that provides 30% more income than I actually need. And I will use that 30% income to make myself a pad to trade off when the market goes down. That's not in the market. Okay. And I'll make myself a nice little savings account. And then when the market does go down 30%, I won't sweat it. Okay. So that's what I've been working on since, and I'm actually there. I've been able to accomplish that, but I have other goals now. So here's the funny thing about options. I said, okay, once I make 30K a month, I'm going to be work optional. I'm going to be happy. Okay. That's what I said originally, but I'm not happy yet. No, I'm serious. I am happy. I'm really happy actually, but I have other goals now. So now I'm paying for my kids' college in full. I'm doing that too, which is fantastic feeling. And I'm not really limiting where they can go to college, which is amazing too. I think I got the first bill for my son's first year and it's $60K a year. Oh my God. Ouch. But anyway, I'm making a video about that in the future. And I want to buy a home on the Mediterranean just from some research. That's probably going to be about $1.5 million. Fine. Whatever. I can do it. And then, you know how I said that me and my husband do everything together we want to? Well, he's now work optional alongside of me. So it's been pretty fantastic. So my goals keep expanding. So in other words, I think sometimes people think that when you get to a certain amount of money per month, it'll be enough. But I found once you reach one goal and you find out that it wasn't that hard and didn't take that long, your wish list gets bigger and not smaller. And I'm really excited for that because the big goals aren't daunting to me anymore. They're just eventual realities. And so guys, how did I do this? How did I do this again? Let's just recap. I committed to learning and now I'm a student for life. Okay. I let compounding work its magic. I didn't gamble. I took these base hit trades and they added up fast. And I just stuck to a system and I designed my system and I really thought about what I wanted as a lifestyle out of this and out as a career. And I stuck to that. I spent far more time studying and less time trading. And I kept a positive attitude the entire time. And I was fully committing to making this work. So my mindset was really the biggest asset that I have. And I think it's the biggest asset that you guys will have too.